going back to what I was saying though, so don't you think we should be slut shaming though?
What I was saying to answer your question.
Okay, imagine though. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So what I was saying to answer your question is, in order for a slut to feel shamed, a majority of people would have to make what they do something to be shameful about. Mm-hmm. That same slut may not feel shame and may feel realization that what they're doing is wrong. Another person will find maybe religion and see that what they're doing is wrong. But what I was saying is, as far as slut shaming, you could do that, or you can, like what you guys do is show different things that they could be doing as well, like working at McDonald's, like you say, or doing this. These are gentle ways to deter women from being sluts, I guess.
Okay. Word? Did you have more?
Why do people try shaming people for doing things? Like, right? You're like, we're slut shaming. This guy's saying whatever the hell he's saying.
Why would you shame people for being murderers? That's insane.
What happened?
Why would you do that?
Shaming
Why would
people?
you shame people for being murderers?
Where did murderers come from? I just said. I'm discussing. Just like, I don't understand why people have to shame people for doing what they're doing individually. Like, I could shame you for like whatever work she's doing. I could shame her for being on. Yeah. This guy could shame me for trying to have my industry. We could shame sluts. We could shame murderers. But at the end of the day, what we really should be trying to focus on is like everyone's individual selves.
What? Yeah, but what if your individual self is? Well, hang on. What if your individual self is a murderer? Can we shame that?
This is when you do these things that I don't understand. You're trying to put it together and it's not adding up. The murderers we have to shame. The murderers we should shame. Yes, we should shame those people. Of course.
Why? Why should we shame them?
Because they're killing people.
Yes, and that's bad, right?
Is it? Is it? Tell me. Is it?
Well, I mean, I'm asking from your worldview. That's bad, right? To kill people, it's bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. So then socially shaming murderers is good because it reduces murder, right?
Mm-hmm. But again,
like if we told everybody who went out and murdered somebody, "Oh, you're great, you're awesome, you should kill more people," do you think more people would die or less people would die?
That's true. It's just it's a different way to think, and I don't think it's going to get you. It's not going to get anywhere. Progressive, quick.
But can you just listen to my question? Hang on. Don't anticipate where it's going. Just listen to it, right? If everybody ran around to everybody who was a murderer and said, "You go, that's awesome, kill more people," do you think that people would kill more people or less people?
I don't think the murderer is really going to give a he's going to kill whoever he wants to kill.
So you think that if we ran around telling murderers that's great that you murdered people, that they would kill less people or more people?
Do you see a lot of murderers during the day? Each day, do you see a lot of murderers?
No, because I think they're socially shamed, and there's laws against it, and there's social shaming and stigma and all sorts of things. But I'm saying if we got rid of the stigma against murder, we said, "Wow, you killed somebody last night who didn't deserve it? Awesome." Do you think that there would be more or less of that behavior?
I get what you're saying. Yes, psychologically, you could somebody up that way. Yeah, or not. I shouldn't say that. I should say you can manipulate somebody's emotions like that. Yeah, that's very bad thing to do.
So then, social behavior, which we think is bad, we should shame because then there's going to be less of it, right?
The only thing I want to shame would be killing people, things of that nature. I wouldn't want to shame somebody for being different than me, though. So it's completely two different things. It's completely two different things.
Like, look, here, I'll give you some more examples, right? Like a kid diddler, you'd want them shamed, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's going to reduce it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to bring, right. So then if that is the case, if people want to see women or men be less promiscuous, then shaming promiscuity is going to bring the rates down. That's the idea behind shame.
I mean, I could agree with that. When came out, we stopped shaming people, I guess, more so for it. It was more like it was a cool thing. It was a cool thing for that to be like ongoing. That's when because it's a new thing.
Let's pretend this is a great point you make, right? So let's pretend for a second that every person who's not on fans shamed and socially stigmatized everybody who was on fans. Do you think that more or less people would do?
Well, people have. How do you feel about that? Because you're the one.
Hang on. Let me just ask you again. Think of every human being who exists in the world, every one of them who exists, and all of them shame women who are on fans, but they're not shaming women who are not on fans. Do you think more or less women would be on fans?
I think that's happening now, and whoever wants to be on is still on fans. They don't care. They're gonna make their money. They're going to make their money. They don't care who's saying what. I don't care who's saying what. If I want to be on and people are shaming me, I'm going to be on fans. I just don't want to, so I'm not doing that.
How would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast this morning?
Hungry.
Good answer.
And I want to clarify, I think shaming in some aspects is important. I'm not saying that people shouldn't shame. I'm saying that the basis of slut shaming is I would say a good percentage of what the show is about. And it's not necessarily a negative connotation that I'm saying. It's saying that it's like something that the show does, and I just want to amplify on that.
Can I ask you something? I've always wondered about this. I ask people about this all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you'll give me a straight answer. I think you understand a lot of the things that I say. I seem to understand you pretty well. If the whole world, if all of the women in the world were just like complete over-the-top sluts, right? Skanks, slept with random guys all the time. Mm-hmm. Do you think the world would be a better or worse place?
Honestly, it may be for the better, because since you're aware of what women are doing, instead of them doing it secretly or not knowing their intentions, knowing can put you in a safer position. Like if you met a nice girl and you sleep with her, little do you know she has this huge body count, she has some type of disease. But if you know she's a slut, then it's like you'll take precautions to protect yourself more than people typically do without knowing. So this world's already a very sex-oriented world already. Sex sells, So with that being said, if everyone, quote unquote, was sleeping around doing that, which we already are, knowing that would set you up better to be safer. So to answer your question.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I got this right. You think that the world would be a better place because then men would take more precautions with women?
Right, because they know what they're getting, which is a slut.
Now, instead of having to take precautions with women because they have STDs and things like this, wouldn't it be better if women weren't sluts and then we didn't have to take precautions because they didn't have STDs?
Okay, and that wasn't the question, but to answer that question was you should be safe regardless.
Well, then hang on. If that wasn't the question, then what is it that men are supposed to be looking for here, that if all women are sluts, they're taking precautions against if it's not STDs and pregnancy? Like,
right.
What are the things?
So to answer your question with the same logic you had, if all men were murderers, then you'd take precaution not to get murdered.
Yes, I agree.
So with the same aspect, if all women are sluts, you'll take precaution to protect yourself against the things that you listed. Compared
yeah, but what are those things? What are those things that you would take precautions
STDs.
Yes.
Very important business.
Okay, STDs. Hang on. What else?
STDs, maybe unwanted pregnancies.
Unwanted pregnancies, yes. What else?
Toxic relationships that can,
Okay, toxic relationships. Okay, so hang on. Let's just stop here.
Okay.